What if someone told you there was a chance to destroy the entire planet? Imagine a group of scientists preparing to perform the most important experiment in human history. They had worked for years. They had spent billions of dollars. And they were about to unleash an amount of energy never before seen by mankind. But there was a problem. Some of them had a terrifying question. What if the explosion went wrong? What if it triggered a chain reaction that could never be stopped? What if, for the first time in history, humanity destroyed the planet with its own hands? It sounds like the plot of a movie, but it really happened. This is the story of the Trinity Test. To understand it, we must first return to the Second World War. While soldiers fought across the battlefields of Europe, the world was quietly moving toward a new and dangerous era. In 1938, scientists discovered that it was possible to split the atom. When that happened, enormous amounts of energy were released. It quickly became clear that this discovery could change the world forever. But it could also become the most destructive weapon ever created. The United States feared that Nazi Germany might develop such a weapon first. In response, it launched a top-secret operation known as the Manhattan Project. Thousands of scientists, engineers, and workers were recruited. Massive facilities were built in remote locations. Everything was surrounded by absolute secrecy. Humanity was entering completely unknown territory. Leading the project was J. Robert Oppenheimer, one of the most brilliant physicists of his generation. But as the date of the test approached, an unexpected concern emerged. Some scientists began asking what would really happen when the bomb detonated. The question was terrifying. What if the temperatures became so extreme that they ignited Earth's atmosphere? What if the nitrogen in the air triggered an unstoppable chain reaction? Today, we know that could never happen. But in 1945, nobody could be completely certain. The calculation suggested the risk was almost zero. Yet when the possible outcome is the destruction of the entire planet, even the smallest uncertainty becomes difficult to ignore. Despite these fears, the decision was made. The test would move forward. In the early hours of July 16, 1945, everything was ready in the New Mexico desert. A device had been placed on top of a tall steel tower. Scientists and military personnel waited in silence from miles away. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. Each second brought humanity closer to a moment unlike anything in history. And then it happened. A blinding flash lit up the desert, so bright that many compared it to the birth of a second sun. The tower vanished instantly. A gigantic fireball rose into the sky. Moments later, the shockwave arrived. The ground trembled. Windows rattled miles away. And above the desert, a massive mushroom cloud began to form. The first nuclear explosion in history had succeeded. And fortunately, the atmosphere did not ignite. The planet survived. But the world would never be the same again. Less than a month later, atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The destruction was devastating. Thousands of lives were lost. And humanity finally understood the true power of this new weapon. Soon after, the Second World War came to an end. But something new had begun. The nuclear age. For decades, the world's most powerful nations competed to build increasingly destructive arsenals. Humanity lived under the constant shadow of nuclear war. And it had all started with a single explosion in the desert. The most remarkable part of this story is not the bomb itself, nor the explosion. It is the fact that, for the first time in history, humanity created a technology capable of altering the fate of the entire planet. The Trinity Test showed how far human knowledge could go, but it also revealed the enormous responsibility that comes with such power. And perhaps the most important question remains the same today as it was in 1945. Now that we can create technologies of unimaginable power, will we also be wise enough to use them responsibly? If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to the channel and join us for more real events